Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. It's the morning after, the night before the All-Ireland Hurling final. Cork, unfortunately, did not get over the line. It was Clare who did prevail by a point. An incredible All-Ireland final, an incredible game, an incredible weekend of action in the Hurling Championship. Obviously, the Ladies Football Championship, we had some incredible games as well. But what a final, what a day, what a game. Unfortunately, Matthew Cork did not come out on the right side of it. Obviously, Clare did prevail in the end in extra time by a point. Firstly, how are you feeling today after yesterday?
To be honest, it's been better, but yeah, thanks for having me on again, Aaron. Yeah, it's a bit dumb, I suppose, for some instances, like with hockey. Even I've seen Seamus Brady coming out from Clare that like I was disappointed more than anything for Hoggy, for Hartney, not getting the name on the All Ireland that apparently, according to the Irish Examiners, John Fogarty, Hoggy actually played all but 5 minutes with a hamstring injury. So, like, it takes some commitment to do that, but like for him not to win it at the end is it's a cruel sport, as Donal Cusack said in the Sunday game afterwards. But yeah, it was just unfortunate that Cork didn't get over the line. But look, hats off to Clare, hats off to Tony Kelly. Like, I think that was a performance for the ages in Croke Park. And a lot of people talk about his goal, really, to give Clare the lead, the third goal in the third goal of the game for Clare. But his point in the second period of extra time for me was just top class to do it at that stage of a game as well. He's just a class hurler, and he always has been, in my opinion. And even this year, when he wasn't at his greatest, he still was the joint second top scorer in play. So even looking at those stats and his performance yesterday, it was just absolutely a joy to watch. And even the emotion from Brendan Bugler that was caught in my video on Instagram, and even John Conlon was hugging his father and his mother near where I was sitting as well. It was just an emotional moment for them. And yeah, it was a brilliant moment for Clare. For Cork, they'll have to dust themselves down, but with Limerick coming back next year, with Tip underage is excelling there, Waterford is an unknown quantity, it's going to be difficult to see how Hoggy gets another shot at an All-Ireland. I think this Cork team under Pat Ryan will go again. I think they might get an All-Ireland in the next few years. It's just a question, will Hoggy stick around for it? And he might stick around next year, but then is this his last chance? Is this his real last chance? And it's just unfortunate it had to end that way for him. But yeah, brilliant day for Clare, obviously, to end an 11-year wait, but out in All-Ireland. And yeah, who would have thought this before the All-Ireland quarterfinals that Clare would go all the way and win the All-Ireland? It's an exceptional achievement for them, and hats off to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, anyone who is tuning in, let us know your thoughts on the game. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. You were at the game yesterday, as you said there, so you got to sample in the atmosphere, you got to feel the atmosphere in Croke Park. From watching on the TV, it sounded incredible. It sounded electric. The atmosphere between Cork and Limerick sounded probably just as good, if not better. There's probably more genuine fans at that game. But like the atmosphere at the All-Ireland final, like what was it like, and what was the mood like sort of around the final, the build up, all the fans? Because like as we were saying off air, I don't live too far from Croke Park. I happened to see a lot of them around like earlier on that day, and yeah, the atmosphere and the occasion, like it just felt absolutely huge, and it certainly felt like that from hearing the noise through the TV.
It definitely was, and I suppose like a lot of people that I met in bars and nightclubs after the game were saying that there were more Cork fans. It looked like in the ground. That, to be honest, looking around, it definitely looked like more Cork fans. Clare were well supported. There's no doubt about that, and there were a few Clare fans celebrating afterwards. But yeah, it was just an incredible atmosphere, incredible to be there. Obviously, I was at a brilliant seat in the ground, right behind Brian Lowe, nonetheless, from Clare. So it was interesting to see their kind of dynamics and their tactics behind it as well. And like, he seems like a really, really good manager, Brian Lowe. Looking at him from behind, to be fair, like Clare deserved it with their support and everything like that. And like there was obviously jubilation around the ground, and Listún Varna playing around Croke Park definitely added to the atmosphere as well. Another credit to the Croke Park DJ. Like they definitely know what music to put on, and that they deserve a lot of credit for that. And I suppose what the viewers over the UK were actually saying in England and Wales and Scotland, probably epitomised what this hurling final encapsulated. Like, it was an absolutely incredible final, and they were just tuning in for it. I seen on social media for about 30 minutes, and they were saying, I am invested in this game. And it just showed the incredible intensity put in by both Clare and Cork. And to be honest, I think we were lucky with the hurling championship this year, because we had some incredible games, the incredible semi-final between Limerick and Cork, the drama towards the end with the Kilkenny-Clare game, some brilliant games with Wexford and Antrim as well in the Leinster Championship, the Munster games, obviously the Cork-Limerick game in Munster, and now this game as well. Probably the best All-Ireland final since the drawn game in 2014. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Cork man and all that. I think that was the general consensus throughout social media for it. It was just an incredible final, incredible to be at it. And the atmosphere was top-notch. And hopefully the football will rise to those expectations next week as well, because like, if we get two really good senior men's finals in Croke Park in 2 weeks in a row, it will definitely be a kind of a bounce back year for the GA, because last year was kind of flat in many ways. Like, Dublin Kerry was a decent enough game, but it wasn't high standard. Limerick and Kilkenny nearly the same the last few years as well. Like 2022, Kerry and Galway, yes, a decent game of football, but very disappointing in its own right. Limerick and Kilkenny again, but like, it was the same kind of pairings, but now we have different pairings and some excellent games in store. So yeah, it's a brilliant year for the GA so far. Hopefully the football will follow suit next week. But yeah, it was just incredible to be there, and an incredible atmosphere in the ground.
Yeah. Like, I mean, incredible to see the reaction. We'll even read out some tweets a little bit later. So some of the reaction from people across the pond and everything else, and just seeing even some big names as well reacting. Like, I've seen some big like football accounts or soccer accounts, if you want to call them, like highlighting it and being like, what is this? I've seen a big UFC fighter talking about it as well, being like, what on earth is this sport? It trended, I think, to number one, I think, over the weekend in the UK. So everyone was speaking about it. Like, so many people were watching it. And I think fair play to the BBC, because I watched the game on the BBC and their coverage was absolutely phenomenal. And I actually thought one thing they'd done really, really well is that it was almost like they knew there was so many new people following the sport. So like, they broke it down so easily. It's obviously very complicated if you're tuning in and watching it for the first time. Like, there's so much going on everywhere. It's almost hard to keep up with it as a fan, you know, as a neutral, as someone who's there. And I'm sure even for you being there at the game, it was probably hard to follow at times. So I thought that was absolutely brilliant to see. And yeah, the spectacle, like the national anthem before, like everything that went to it was absolutely brilliant in the end. I suppose from your point of view though, like the atmosphere after the game, I know you had an interesting night out, like probably not the best atmosphere among Cork fans.
To be fair though, and I was speaking to someone about this in the night out. Like, imagine, like, there was a load of Cork fans around David's and all these pubs around Dublin, Coppers as well, and we just, like, imagine for a sec if Cork actually won. Like, the place would be rocking Dublin, to be honest with you. And like, even in the train today, I was coming home from Houston Station to Kent in Cork just today, now this afternoon, and I was in one carriage, but then the carriage next to me, I could hear Cork fans singing songs like N17, you know, the Galway song, and loads of other songs in the other carriage beside me. And Cork, put this in context now, Cork lost the game. So, like, imagine if we actually won. I think it would be just incredible in its own right as well. And yeah, I just think, like, it just epitomised this weekend. Like, I think Armagh will be probably the same in the football next week. But we need these counties back up at the top end of Gaelic football or hurling or whatever it is, because without these fans that create some brilliant atmospheres for finals and things like that, and the Dublin footballers add to that as well, in fairness, like, come on you boys, and blue chants and things like that. We need these chants in an All-Ireland final, and we need these sort of spectacles around Dublin City, Drumcondra, all these sorts of places. Like, it just adds to the atmosphere. It really does. And even look at, I was coming into Houston Station on Saturday evening as well, and credit to Dublin, the Dublin City Council on this. So I think they were putting up flags and balloons of the colours of Cork and Clare all around the city as well, around the forecourts, around them areas, which is absolutely brilliant to see. And I think it just shows that once All-Ireland final weekend comes, they definitely pull out all the stops. And in fairness to them, they definitely do that as well. And after the game, it was a great atmosphere, despite the results. And yeah, it was just something that I definitely remembered for the rest of my days. And in all honesty, it was just a brilliant atmosphere. And credit to Dublin City Council, credit to Croke Park, and credit to the GA as well, because a lot of things did go right. Like even the speeches afterwards, Jarlath Burns, he said the right things as well. The stuff that Tony Kelly came out with Brian Lohan as well, the celebrations at the sideline as well. I just think that all added to the atmosphere, and the build up to this final as well was absolutely incredible in its own right. So yeah, I think all props have to go to everything that was in the J and BBC and RT and all them for the promos and everything like that. That added to the atmosphere as well. So from the production crew, from obviously the groundskeepers in Croke Park, from the stewards in Croke Park, the people in the nightclubs, like it was just a brilliant atmosphere. They deserve a lot of plaudits for that. So yeah, it was just a brilliant weekend. Shame about the result from my point of view, but look, it is what it is. Clare All-Ireland champions, and we have to move on to next year, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah. No, look, it was incredible watching it, and even seeing the aerial shot of Croke Park. Like, it was just a complete sea of red. It was kind of incredible to see. But in fairness to Clare fans, they did bring the banner roar, they did bring the noise, and you could certainly hear it towards the end of the game. And I'm sure there was plenty of Clare fans out and about and in full voice last night. But yeah, look, we're obviously discussing the game. You probably don't need any reminder, but it was Clare 329, Cork 134 after extra time in the All-Ireland final. It's kind of hard to know where to start with this final. There's so much to break down and so much to discuss. You can nearly schedule a part 2 to discuss this in more detail. But I think what I will start with is Cork's fast start in this game. They came roaring out of blocks. Like, they hit 3 points on the spin. Clare obviously hit 3 back, all in the same minute as well, which was a little bit bizarre. But then Cork went steaming on. Like, Rob Downey gets a goal, Brian Hayes is doing his thing, Patrick Horgan is scoring, and Cork led 1-7 to 3 points, and they actually had 100% accuracy during that point as well. Like, I mean, what were you thinking at that stage? Because to be honest with you, it looked like Cork could do no wrong, and Clare looked all over the place at that stage. Like, it honestly looked like this could be a bit of a whitewash.
It did, and I suppose the Rob Downey goal just epitomised when everything did go right for Cork in the first quarter, and everything did go wrong for Clare. Like the puck out from Eibhear Quilligan, found unfortunately for him for Rob Downey, and he just went. I watched it back this morning, and I still don't know how on earth he basically ran with the slitter and balancing it on the hurl without actually catching the ball before banging it into the back of the net. Like, this is a centre back. Like, it was just an incredible goal, in fairness to Rob Downey. He ran the length of the pitch nearly, and what a finish into the top corner. And it definitely rose up the noise level in Croke Park after that. It was just an incredible goal to see as well. And some of the points that Cork were converting, Gareth Fitzgibbon in the first few minutes, to Tim O'Mahony point, the first point of the game, epitomised what Cork were about as well. And Clare there was one moment as well that Clare hit the ball into the corner, to Niall O'Leary's corner, and no one was there from a Clare point of view. And you're thinking, are these guys getting nervous? So I was very, very confident as a Cork fan going into the first quarter and all that. And I'm sure Dan Casey would have been as well, because he said the GAR 7-point win. We were 7 points up in the first quarter, and I was like, he's going to be right here. He's going to be a smart guy coming into the office and the GA Joe office on Monday morning. But yeah, last Clare came back into the game, and Seamus made a very good point to me sitting beside me. Clare always start slow in these sorts of games. Obviously against Kilkenny in the semi-final, and that was kind of a warning shot that Clare were going to come back into this game. It was how Cork would deal with it. And to be fair, 4-8 McCarthy goal, I don't think Kieran Joyce did a lot wrong there with Shane O'Donnell. It was almost like he was blocking him out, passed it to Peter Duggan, and it was almost Kieran Joyce and a few other Cork defenders were caving in on Shane O'Donnell. But Shane O'Donnell, what a player he is. He found a way to get underneath these Cork players, pass it off to Aidan McCarthy, and what a finish to the back of the net. And it was almost like, what do you have to do to stop Shane O'Donnell? It's almost like you can't do it fairly. You have to drag him down if you're going to actually stop him in that sort of a run. So, to be honest with you, Aaron, despite the Clare goal to get them back into the game, I don't think Cork did a lot wrong in that first quarter and a bit. I really don't. I think we managed Clare really well. We managed the situation with Shane O'Donnell well until he burrowed his way through into it and pass it off to Ed McCarthy, obviously. But I just think Cork didn't do a lot wrong, but Clare, crucially for them, hung in the game for as long as possible, and eventually they got back into the game towards the end of the half. And yeah, the rest was history towards the end of it. And props have to go off to Clare, to be honest with you, for hanging on in there despite being 7 points down to claw their way back into the game in the All-Ireland final when things were going against them in some stages of it. But yeah, fair play to Clare for coming back into it. But at that stage, after the Rob Downey goal, I thought we're going to get our first All-Irelands in 19 years here. I thought at that moment there was going to be nothing stopping us after that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan says, I hope Patrick Horgan stays another year. He needs something. Yeah, he certainly does, in fairness, and hopefully he does stick around for another year. But obviously we'll have to wait and see what happens in regards to that. But yeah, like I think I thought the same as you, like during that opening period. And I think I said to you in the preview, I felt like this game was going to be very similar to the 2018 All-Ireland final between Limerick and Galway, where Cork just absolutely blew, or where Limerick just absolutely blew Galway away for about 55 minutes. And then the nerves and everything started creeping in because Limerick hadn't won it in so long at that point. It was a young team and Galway nearly pulled it back and Limerick still hung on. I thought this would be very similar. And for the opening 15 minutes, that's exactly how the final was going. But in fairness to Clare, like, it was some response. And that's one thing you'd have to give them credit for. 3 points down early on, hit 3 on the bounce to respond. 1-7-3 down. Could have been 8 down if Patrick Horgan had scored that free just before the goal from Aidan McCarthy. But yeah, like a brilliantly well worked goal from a Clare perspective. Like Shane O'Donnell, so unorthodox the way he moves and carries the ball as well and finds space and gets a pass away when it doesn't even look on. But yeah, the Clare resilience and the Clare bottle has been questioned hugely over the last couple of years, and probably rightly so, because they got beat in multiple Munster finals, All-Ireland semi-finals. But in the last 3 weeks, they've shown the biggest bottle possible, and now they have the biggest prize of all to go with it.
And I suppose, like, a lot of people were talking about Clare as Croke Park perennial bottlers, and we were talking about that before the All-Ireland semi-final against Kilkenny, and they've shut up a lot of doubters in this season. But I've said it for years now, and for 2022 and 2023 in particular, Clare have been the second best team in the country behind Limerick in those years. So in hindsight, did they deserve the All-Ireland? Looking at them two performances, them years, probably, yeah. I still believe so. I know people will point towards, yes, Kilkenny beat Clare for 2 seasons in a row. I still believe Clare were the second best team in the country. And I don't think anybody would change my mind on that. And I just think they folded in Croke Park. The nerves kind of got to them in 22 and 23. But this year, Brian Lohan probably set a standard at the start of the year. No more of getting nerves into your system once we get into Croke Park. No more of that. I think what actually helped Clare in the season early on, I did say this at the start of the year, Clare needed a national trophy to get on the board to gain a bit of confidence. And they got that against Kilkenny in the league final. And a lot of people were saying, okay, it's the league, nobody really cares about it. But I think that league title spurred on Clare in a way to this All-Ireland title, because it made the players believe in themselves. It made them believe that they can beat Kilkenny. That they beat Kilkenny this year for 3 times out of 3 this season. Like, I don't think any Clare team over the past few seasons would actually say they would have beat Kilkenny with a 100% record in all competitions. But this team, this crop of players did it this season. And that deserves a lot of credit as well. And a lot of players had brilliant performances, obviously, in the defence as well. Conor Lean and Adam Horgan had excellent performances. John Conlon, what more can I say about this guy? 35 years of age to play 90 minutes of hurling is absolutely exceptional in its own right. David McInerney was exceptional turning the ball over. Clare's heads could have dropped in that first quarter. Once Rob Downey hit the back of the net, it was almost like, was that the moment where Clare, the bottler mentality would have settled in after that? But no, it didn't. Clare were just saying, not today, lads. We're going to go back at your throat. And to be fair to the Clare players, David Fitzgerald as well, Tony Kelly, Mark Rogers, Aidan McCarthy, they were driving at that Cork defence, and they deserve a lot of credit for that, for hanging on in the game for as long as they did. They eventually got the goal through Aidan McCarthy, and then at half-time they were level. And you look at the third quarter, I think Fit2 put up a very good post about this on Twitter, I think Cork beat Clare by a certain margin in the first quarter. And then Clare beat Cork by the same margin as Cork did in the first quarter in the second quarter. So it was so evenly matched. It was almost like a half of two halves, if you like. Like Cork were really, really good in the first half of the first half. Then in the second half of the first half, Clare were absolutely exceptional. So the Clare deserve a lot of credit for bouncing back like that. And that was definitely an onus for them to get on and win this Liam McCarthy Cup. That was the moment where the heads were shaped in the start of the final, and they were going to get over the line this one.
Absolutely, yeah. No, like it was like absolutely crazy, really, for like or it was crazy, like seeing Clare come back into it in the way that they did, in the performance levels that they did was absolutely brilliant to see. Oliver says here the bitter Mayo man here complained about referee decisions in the Galway game. How was our Cock friend feeling now about the referees? I think the autocorrect might have got you there. Cork friends. Yeah, we will get on to referees. Don't worry about that. It certainly is a topic of conversation that we will get onto. But yeah, like I mean, the spectacle as a whole, the back and forth nature. But Tony Kelly, like that's what I wanted to discuss next. Like what a outrageous performance from him. And like again, we question the Clare bottle. People question Tony Kelly all year long. Like there's actually receipts online, there's tweets and everything else online of people saying Tony Kelly doesn't turn up in the big games, he goes missing in the big games. Like that was like one of the best All-Ireland final performances from one individual player I've ever seen. Like the catalogue of points, so you could make a highlight reel just out of what he scored. Scoring points off his shoulder, scooping the ball over players, his goal, like the tenacity there for the goal. I mean, outrageous stuff.
I did say on a TikTok at the start of the year, I was doing a best hurler competition, like the filter quarterfinals, semi-finals, all that. And out of that, Tony Kelly was the best player, in my opinion, to come up. And I got a lot of flack about that on my TikTok, saying, "Oh, TJ Reid is much better than Tony Kelly. What are you talking about? Cian Lynch is a much better player. Hoggy's a better player than Tony Kelly." Like he showed it yesterday, his quality. He is a quality hurler. It was just a joy to watch him. And sitting back from a neutral point of view for a sec, I know I'm a Cork fan and all that, but even sitting back and watching that Tony Kelly goal back and the highlights reel, it's almost like, how does he do this? Like it's almost like a wizard with a hurley stick. Like it's just, it was incredible to watch, and just the goal he scored as well. And to be honest, like before that, I know Tony Kelly was exceptional on it, but Dave Fitzgerald deserves a lot of credit for actually catching the puck out and laying it to Tony Kelly before the goal even happened. But what happens after that is just pure magic, and you just have to get in. You have to cherish it. This is a wizard at work in an All-Ireland final, and he was just an incredible player all day long. You tweeted yesterday as well, Aaron, that this could be regarded as a Tony Kelly final, a bit like the Stanley Matthews FA Cup final, and it definitely was that. Like even as a Cork fan, a lot of Cork fans will agree with me on this. You have to sit back and just witness class, because we were witnessing it yesterday in full flight in Croke Park. Like it was just an incredible spectacle to be at, and Tony Kelly definitely added to this as well. And yeah, he was just an incredible captain, incredible leader. And I'd go as far as saying I think this is the best captain's performance of an All-Ireland hurling final in history. Because you look down through the years, like the Limerick captains didn't really, like Cian Lynch was the captain last year, didn't produce that high level performance. Declan Hannon didn't in the All-Ireland finals that he was involved in as well. And you look down through the other years as well, like Kilkenny had Lester Ryan and all them as captains, and they didn't perform to their utmost ability. But Tony Kelly was absolutely outstanding. If you're talking about leadership and taking the game by the scruff of the neck, like he was definitely up there. And to be fair, like it was an incredible performance. You just have to hold your hands up and just say, this guy is absolute class. And you look at the second period of extra time as well. The point that he got to give Clare the lead in that period was absolutely exceptional as well. Like not just to flick it over one Cork defender, but to flick it over two. in extra time.
Yeah.
It was absolutely brilliant. And you have to just admit it, he's just an incredible hurler. And he definitely shut up a lot of doubters with the Crow Park hoodoo and all that nonsense. Tony Kelly is a brilliant hurler. And as Buff Egan would say, believe that.
Yeah, like I mean, like as far as big game performances go, like it doesn't get any bigger than that, and like it was almost just like grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck. Like I mean, like because especially in extra time as well. Like I felt like an extra time with Shane O'Donnell going off, Mark Rogers going off, you Peter Duggan obviously going off as well. It felt like Cork maybe were slightly starting to get more and more of a grip of the game. Like you obviously had that big chance from Robbie O'Flynn, which was saved. It felt like Cork were creating more chances at that stage than Clare. Clare were struggling to get some of their other forwards into the game. But it just felt like that point from Tony Kelly completely galvanised the Clare team. They scored 2 points instantly straight after that as well. I think Shane Meehan got one of them. Can't remember who got the other. But Clare from there, like that was what obviously gave them the 3-point lead that they obviously hung on to win the All-Ireland from. So like that point in particular, like I think it might go down as possibly one of the greatest All-Ireland final points of all time.
Definitely so, and the pressure that was under Tony Kelly to get that point as well, and when bodies were tired as well, that has to be taken into account. What an absolutely incredible score, and it was Aidan McCarthy that got the second last score. I think it was Shane Meehan with the last score as well. So them players deserve a lot of credit on Aidan McCarthy as well. And Seamus mentioned this on GR earlier today as well. Clare were crying out for a free taker all throughout the year, whether it be Mark Rogers, whether it be Tony Kelly. They weren't converting the frees as Brian Lohan would wish they would. But Aidan McCarthy stepped into those shoes and he's done absolutely exceptional on the frees this year. You have to applaud him for that. And to get a point late on that game as well. And he showed a lot of mettle in that. And Tony Kelly did as well. And to be fair to the young lad coming on, Shane Meehan, like that's an incredible score to get as well. And you would have questioned his experience coming onto the pitch, the likes of Robin Mounsey, the likes of Shane Meehan. But they added to it as well. They added to the attack for Clare. That deserves to be mentioned as well. But Tony Kelly, like, what more can I say about him? It just wasn't a surprise that he got the Man of the Match award for the Sunday game. I was looking at the night out and I was looking at my phone. I was seeing who got the Man of the Match award and I was like, yeah, no shock. Like Tony Kelly was just an exceptional performer on this All-Ireland final. And where does it rank in terms of All-Ireland's hurling final performances? It definitely ranks up there as one of the best. Like among his teammates as well, Shane O'Donnell in 2013 against Cork, coincidentally. I think this performance for Tony Kelly ranks among the best performances we've ever seen in a hurling final. I don't think that's recency biased. I think that's genuinely fact. I think that's an incredible performance by him, and yeah, deserves a lot of credit for what he contributes on the pitch and off the pitch for this Clare team as well, because he is a bar leader for this Clare team, and it's no wonder he is the captain of the banner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, like the turnaround, the performance, like considering as well, like he was injured for half the year. People were debating, should he even start? Should he even come into the team? Should he be an impact sub? It is his best days behind him, and I think he answered all the critics, and like a real captain, like a real captain's performance, so like leading by example, and captain fantastic, no doubt about that. But you mentioned like things were going so well for Cork at different stages, like obviously having been in front by 7 points, could have been 8 in front, 3 points up at one stage. Obviously Clare started to turn the screw more so in the second half. Like obviously Cork did so much right. Like to finish with 37 and not win an All-Ireland is crazy. And I know there was extra time and everything, so that obviously brings the score up a little bit more. But like watching this game, I don't really think Cork did anything wrong. Like I think both teams were absolutely brilliant, and this could have went either way. It could have went to a replay. But is there anything you can look at from a Cork perspective and say we should have been better at that, or is there anything, or like did Cork give absolutely everything and they just came up short, or what do you think?
I think if you're looking at it from specifically a fan's point of view, I think they did give everything and the players left it all out in the field, which they did, and they deserve a lot of credit for that as well. I think what went wrong for Cork, if anything did, was the puck-out strategy. And especially in the first half, with 16 puck-outs, we lost 14 with Patrick Collins. And I was saying to Seamus beside me as well, this isn't working. We need to change it up if we're gonna actually challenge Clare and win this Liam McCarthy Cup. We need to change our strategy in these puckouts. But at the same time, Clare deserve a lot of credit as well, because obviously I was behind Brian Lowe and I was listening to at some stages in the game, and every puckout that Cork had, Brian Lowe was saying he was shouting in at his players, push up on them, push up on them. So I think he clocked what Patrick Collins was doing in the Limerick game. And he said to the Clare players basically to push up on Patrick Collins and put more pressure on this Cork puckout. That deserves a lot of credit, to be fair, as well. But when you look at the long puckouts for Cork, I think they only won 2 all day, including extra time overall. I'd have to double check that stat as well, but that is just a low amount, and it just epitomised that the midfielders and the half forwards weren't winning as much ball as they did against Limerick, which was quite concerning. It really was from a Cork point of view. But then again, like, the players gave it their all. But I think if you're being very, very particular, you have to look at those sorts of instances as to why Cork didn't get over the line in the end. But yeah, it was just an incredible game of hurling in its own right. Like, the shooting accuracy was 67% overall, so Cork didn't do too badly in that. And to put that into context, that was 52 shots and you got 67%, which is pretty impressive from a Cork point of view. Like, Clare had a worse shot accuracy, to be fair, and won the game. So it was almost like Cork didn't do a lot wrong. I think, to be honest, the two things, if you're being very, very niggly about these things, was the puckouts and the concession of the 3 goals. To be fair, the Clare 3 goals were absolutely quality. And I don't think any team like a Limerick or a Kilkenny on their pomp would have stopped those 3 goals coming in. They were just exceptional goals from a Clare point of view. But if you're looking at those sorts of things as well, I think Cork needs to do better. And as well as that, there was a moment at the end of it. I know Cork went to level it in the end through a hockey free. But Jack O'Connor, who came onto the pitch, and he's been exceptional. He's been really, really good, especially in 2021, 2022, all them years, and was really, really good in the league. It probably just showed the match sharpness that Jack had in the game. Like, he had a shot towards the end of it. He put it wide. It was agonising at that stage. And like, those sorts of things come back to bite you at the end. But obviously that is nothing. That's not a criticism of Jack O'Connor. I just think he didn't get enough playtime throughout the whole year. And to throw him on before Shane Kingston was a bit... I know, like, he's a speedy player and he's definitely an asset to come onto the pitch. But for Jack O'Connor to be put on before Shane Kingston, having had less game time throughout the whole championship, it was a bit strange for that to happen. But look, it is what it is, and lessons have to be learned from this. But look, Cork didn't do a lot wrong. But if you're just looking at those sorts of instances, maybe if they went right for Cork on another day, they could get over the line. But having said that, though, Seamus Brady said to be a very good point as well from Seamus, so I have to credit him on this. If you played this game 10 times, Cork would win at 5. Clare would win at 5 as well. It was that sort of a game. It was the greater Royce to tip the scale, as Paddy O'Shea famously said as Westmeath manager. And it was just that. Like, it was a game that could have gone either way on the day. And yeah, both sides should be proud of a brilliant performance overall.
Yeah, like, to put it into perspective as well, like, the game was level at half time, it was level at normal time, it was level at the first half of extra time, and it probably should have been level at the end of the game as well. You know, like, so I mean, there really wasn't much between either side. I think 9 times both teams were level, and considering Cork were 7 up at one stage, Cork were 3 up, Clare were 3 up on a couple, like, once or twice as well. Like, the fact that they were still level like 8 or 9 times is absolutely incredible, and it certainly will go down as one of the best All-Ireland finals of all time. But look, we can't not discuss the refereeing decisions. Obviously, our commentator Oliver was mentioning it there. I do think overall Johnny Murphy had a very, very good game, to be honest with you. I thought he let the game flow. I think there wasn't too many frees. I think he let a lot of challenges go. He let a lot of things go, especially in the first half and in the second half, which was very good. He took a massive hit as well for his troubles, which was mental. You don't often see that in any game of GA, let alone an All-Ireland final. And fair play, he carried on. He was absolutely exhausted at the end of the game as well. I don't know if you saw the clip of him running towards the end. I think he wanted the full-time whistle as much as anyone else. But there's obviously a couple of big decisions. The first one I'll mention is obviously the talk around the penalty. David McInerney. Some people are saying that he unintentionally collided with Robbie O'Flynn. When I've watched it back, it looks like I don't think he's done that unintentional. I think he knows what he's doing. There is an argument that there's a cover and defend there, but I think the speed at which Robbie O'Flynn is going at, he gets the shot away there. Like the pace at which he's going at, the defender might get there, but he gets the shot away. So I think it has to be a penalty. But at the bare minimum, it definitely should have been a yellow card, which I think was the more crazier decision, to be honest with you. But what did you make of that decision?
If you want to go further, Aaron, possibly in some people's eyes, it might have been a black card because of a denial of a goal scoring opportunity. I think,
that would have equaled the red, because if you get a black after having a yellow, isn't it a red? I think. It
is. Yeah. So, and it would have been a penalty as well, automatically. So it was a big decision. It was a big decision by Johnny Murphy. What I will say about Johnny Murphy, first of all, I agree with you completely. I think he did have a good game. And despite what people would say on social media about them 3 decisions, I'd give a stat for you. Clare conceded 16 frees, Cork conceded 7. So when you look at those stats, he was probably more in favour for Cork than he was for Clare, looking at those stats there. Obviously, that doesn't seem that way on the pitch, but maybe fans need to put down the phone and just appreciate that for a second as well. And the fast pace that the game of hurling moves. Johnny Murphy has a lot to do. And look, I think he did a very good job, especially in the first half. He let the game flow and things like that. But it was just towards the end when players were getting tired. Obviously, the ref obviously gets tired as well. They are human, running up and down the field and things like that. So yeah, he was obviously going to be tired. But first of all, the Robbie O'Flynn decision not to give the black card and the penalty. I think, for me, it's a goal-scoring opportunity. It was inside the line for where the black card rule applies. For me, Aaron, a lot of people call me biased on this. I see it in the ground though. I see a few replays on it. I still have the same belief. I think it's a penalty and a black card. If you're going by certain rule, I think it is a penalty and a black card, in my opinion. That's my honest view on it. A lot of people might disagree on it, but I just feel like it's going to be interesting, actually. I have to look it back even more. Does Robbie have a chance of getting to the ball? If he does have a serious chance of getting to the ball before David McInerney trips him, I think it's an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, and I think it's a black card and a penalty. That's my honest view on it. A lot of people disagree on it, but I have to emphasise as well, it's a fast-moving pace, and Johnny Murphy did all he could to have tried to settle it down at some stages in the game. Deserves a lot of credit for that. But even some people on social media were saying there needs to be 2 referees. And with the fast pace of hurling, I actually agree with that. I think there needs to be one on one side of the pitch and the other on the other side of the pitch, because number one, the decisions would be betterly made, in my opinion. And number 2, the referees wouldn't be absolutely exhausted once the game ends. That's my honest view on it. And I think Johnny Murphy did have a good game, given the resources and given he was the only man at the centre circle of the pitch. I think he deserves a lot of credit for letting the game flow. But I think in future, possibly the GA should introduce 2 referees at either side of the pitch because of the fast pace that hurling is moving at the moment.
Yeah, A2 says a moment of silence for Dan Casey. Look, I'm sure he's feeling the defeat as much as any Cork supporter. I'm sure he's look, he was obviously very confident about Cork winning the game, like predicting a 7-point win. And look, to be fair, he's backed his team to the depths of the end, and it hasn't come off. But sure, look, that's how it can go sometimes. Dylan says maybe it's time to bring in VAR. Yeah, it's definitely been a discussion, and Oliver says don't want to dampen it, but I'm devastated for Cork not to get a replay. That game was a replay. Clare were certainly more physical. That was a black all day long. I would agree with that as well. I think it was a black, and that would have been obviously a sending off. Like, I've seen some people say well, you don't want to ruin an All-Ireland final. Like, you don't want to send the player off. But at the end of the day, like, it was the last couple of minutes of the game. A foul is a foul. Like, because it's an All-Ireland final or a Junior B final or, a kickabout in the park, like, a red card is a red card, So I don't really understand that. Like, because it's hard to really know. Like, the umpires were there. It kind of was bizarre because you were watching it, and I was watching it on the BBC, and even Thomas Niblock was saying he was certain it was going to be a black card and a penalty, and when it wasn't given, it was like, okay, like he's not giving the penalty, but he is going to give the yellow card here, surely, and then he doesn't give it, and it's like, wow, crazy.
Yeah, it was a strange decision, really, but I suppose it showed the fatigue possibly towards the end from Johnny Murphy to kind of make that kind of a decision. Yeah, it was just the pressure got to him, in my opinion, and maybe it was that kind of thought at the back of the mind that possibly you'd ruin a game, sending off a player in the All-Ireland final. Maybe thinking towards the Richie Horgan red card against Kyle Barrett, if you remember that, Aaron, in 2019, and that obviously did ruin the final for the rest of it. And Tipperary won quite comprehensively in that final in 2019. But for this sort of incident, you probably had to give a second yellow. You had to give the black card. Like, that is the elements inside of a referee's head, isn't it? In any sport, not just hurling. I remember in 2010, the World Cup, Howard Webb, he had a big decision to make when Nigel de Jong karate kicked Xabi Alonso in the chest. And there was some maybe voice at the back of the mind thinking, you don't want to ruin a final. You want to calm it down as much as possible. So he just gave Nigel de Jong a yellow card. But it was obviously a red card. You could see from that incident it was a red card, and like this one, it's a second yellow or it's a black. If you don't give either, it was kind of a strange decision, especially with Robbie O'Flynn, without the trick, could possibly latch onto the ball and tip it beyond the for Quilligan. You might think it was a questionable call. It was a questionable call, but you have to think about the referee as well. He might have had voices at the back of his head thinking this might have ruined the final, or he was just fatigued and he just made a split-second decision. Ultimately, in my opinion, now, like, obviously Johnny Murphy's the referee and he is the expert, obviously. In my opinion, looking at it from a fan's point of view, I think it was a black card and a penalty. A lot of people disagree with me on it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and then the one at the end of extra time as well. I think it was Robbie O'Flynn as well, wasn't it? Yeah. And Conor Lean, who was obviously pulling them back. I mean, I didn't see that in normal time. Like, they didn't show a replay of it because obviously the celebrations happened just as the shot went wide. But obviously seeing the clips going around on Twitter as well, like, it's that one, to be fair, like, I think it was a foul, but sometimes they don't get given. But again, like, that is another one where you probably do feel hard done by there.
Yeah, yeah, same as you are, and I didn't see the pull at all, and the replay didn't come up on the big screen either. It was just disappointment, the dejection from a Cork point of view, celebrations from Clare point of view. But I look back at it, I looked at screenshots and things I had, like you, and social media afterwards, and I was looking at it thinking, yeah, I think a few Cork fans might have a point in this. I think when you look at it, if you think about it, Aaron, if that was any other moment in the game where the stakes weren't as high, that would be a free all day long.
Yeah. To be fair to the referee, though, like, he was not that he was letting shirt pulls go, but he was letting a lot go. And I think maybe in that moment, he obviously let another one go, but I think it was the wrong one. I think it was the wrong decision. Yeah,
I think it was slightly the wrong decision as well, but look, at the end of the game, obviously the mind completely goes at that point. And you mentioned that Johnny Murphy was nearly out of breath coming to the end of the game, and it was almost like he was almost like, I just want to end this final now, or something like that. But yeah, it was kind of a strange call when you look back at the replay. But obviously, as we always say, hindsight is a beautiful thing. Look, I only look back at that incident once I got into the pub after the game. Like, I didn't see it in real time, so like, I doubt, like, Johnny Murphy. I'm not sure as to how far he was away from the incident. I have to double check this, but like, it was the last stage of the game. I can understand why he didn't give the free, because obviously it was a late stage in the game. It would have been in some ways a harsh way for Clare to draw the game and to snatch the Liam McCarthy away from them. in a way, if you know what I mean. No, but look, in my opinion, again, I think it was a jersey, but look, again, a lot of people disagree with me on it. But Johnny Murphy had a good game overall. Can't let that kind of define the whole game. He let the game flow, in fairness to him. And yeah, it was just it was an unfortunate call. And looking back at it again, we always say hindsight's a beautiful thing. I think it was a foul. A lot of people think it was a foul as well. But look, it wasn't. And Clare got their hands in the cup.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, to be fair, like there were some moments in the game where I thought Clare were a little bit unlucky in terms of frees and in terms of moments. Like it does go back and forth, and it's not, probably the penalty decision was obviously a big one. But look, sometimes these things happen. Sometimes you get the decisions, sometimes you don't. Ultimately, the game, there was much more amount of that game to be played, to be decided, and it doesn't come down to just those moments. But yeah, overall, Clare, like they break the duck, they win the All-Ireland. I mean, there is talks that Shane O'Donnell might retire. There's talks maybe certain players might leave, but they've broken the duck. They've gotten over the line now. Mad to think they haven't won a Munster title since the turn of the century, but they've won 2 All-Irelands. Surely they have to go now and end a way for a Munster title next year.
You feel like they have to at this stage. I don't think Clare fans will give a jot now. They'll celebrate, obviously. They won't. They won't care. Like, they don't have a Munster title, but they have 2 All-Irelands. It's kind of weird, actually, when you think about it. Since the turn of the century, I believe Waterford have 2 or 3 Munster championships, or maybe it's 2004 and 2010. And Clare have 2 All-Irelands. But Waterford have no All-Irelands and Clare have no Munsters. It's a bit of a weird stat there, but look, I don't think Clare will give a shot. They're All-Ireland champions for the second time since the turn of the millennium, which is an absolute brilliant achievement to do that, in fairness to Clare. And yeah, for a county, they've won 5 All-Irelands now. There was obviously going to be jubilant celebrations at the end. Congratulations to them, but yeah, I don't think they'll give a shot at not winning a Munster title. But you feel like coming into next year, it's kind of one trophy that Brian Lohan might have his eyes on next year. I think he needs to get this group to win a Munster championship to be considered. Like, if you imagine, like, if Clare win the Munster championship next year, Brian Lohan would have completed the trio in separate seasons, in the league, the Munster and the All-Ireland. So it might be an aim for him to win the Munster championship next year. But tonight, tomorrow, this week, I don't think Clare fans will give a shot. The Clare players won't care. They're All-Ireland champions. That's what's the name on the Liam McCarthy. And they'll think about next year when it comes to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, they've won the double this year as well, which is incredible to think, obviously, with the league and the All-Ireland as well. And to think, as you said, Matthew, earlier, like, nobody would have predicted Clare to win the All-Ireland after they lost to Limerick. Like, I remember thinking they were done. I remember thinking they were... It just looked like a step too far, a bridge too far. Maybe they needed a change in management. Maybe something needed to be changed in the backroom team or something, because they'd lost 3 Munster finals in a row. They'd lost 2 All-Ireland semi-finals in the last 2 seasons. And to think, at half-time of the Clare-Kilkenny game, they just looked broken. They just looked beaten, and they found the resilience. They found a way to come back, and fair dues to them, like a well-deserved All-Ireland win for the Banner County. Shane says here there definitely is an All-Ireland coming to Cork in the near future. As a Kerry man, I don't like saying it, but Liam will be heading back Lee side in the next couple of years. Yeah, like, I think, like, when you lost the final in 2021, there was a feeling that this will set Cork back years. Like, Cork were absolutely demolished. They looked nowhere near Limerick. It just looked like, a complete mismatch. Whereas with this, like, you beat Limerick twice. I feel like if you keep the majority of the players and panel that you have fit, you keep your management, maybe you add a couple of more young players over the next couple of years, you feel like it can happen. Like, you're definitely very, very close.
Yeah, I feel like it is coming in the next few years. I agree with the comment there. I'm just worried for the point of view of hockey. Is that the last we've seen him? Apparently, according to Dennis Hurley from the Echo, I seen an article this morning that he is coming back for.
Yeah, we got this comment come in here.
Yeah,
I think he might have said at the homecoming he's sticking around for another year.
Yeah, I see the article from Dennis Hurley from the Echo, so a huge shout out to him about this, about hockey staying on for 2025, and that's a relief to Cork fans. But I just concerned that might be his last year, 2025, and you look at next season, the landscape of next year, and Cork are a brilliant team. They definitely have a hope of getting to Liam McCarthy next season, but Limerick will be back for vengeance. Kilkenny will have to improve. I think Galway might improve with an inside manager. Tipperary, it's hard to judge. I think, what do they do? Do they bring in the younger players and cram them all in and just get rid of the older players? Or what do they do? It's going to be very interesting next season. Like, they have a lot of good crop coming through. Waterford, Austin Gleeson's coming back into it. Bit of an unknown quantity there. So there is going to be teams to go for Cork's throat next year, and obviously Clare as well, as All-Ireland champions, defending All-Ireland champions. So from the point of view, I just worry, is that the best chance that Hoggy will get in his career of getting that All-Ireland medal? It's upsetting. It really is, because you could see on the pitch he was distraught after it, and he deserves an All-Ireland medal for all he did this year, for breaking TJ Reid's scoring record this year after scoring 12 points yesterday. Obviously, being the top scorer this year with 5 goals and 74 points. That might go in under the midst in many ways, but he was the top scorer overall this season. Hoggy deserves a lot of credit, and for him not to get an All-Ireland medal would be just so disheartening. It'd be just so upsetting for many Cork fans up and down the country, I'd imagine. But look, hopefully he will get his Celtic Cross and he will win the All-Ireland. I think, though, I do believe that Cork will get an All-Ireland medal, get an All-Ireland under Pat Ryan. I do believe so. I think he's a brilliant manager. I think he's a great guy getting these guys up for big games. But I think for next season, for Cork to go all the way, I think they need to start like a house of fire literally this next year, because you look at the start of the season in the championship against Waterford, it was very under par, and it was almost like Cork didn't find their best starting 15. They lost against Clare then, but that Clare team then ignited the likes of Owen Downey to come in, to Rob Downey to come into the centre back role. Like, it just got Cork on a run after that, but Cork need to get on a run from the very off next season. And I think an All-Ireland could be on the way to Leeds next season or the season after that. I just worry from the point of view, I think this might be the last big chance that Hoggy ever gets lifted in Liam McCarthy. And it's disheartening. It's upsetting from my point of view, because he's been an incredible player for Cork down through the years.
Yeah, no. Like, I think if anyone deserves it, it's definitely him. In fairness, before we finish up on the final, was this the greatest hurling or the greatest All-Ireland hurling final of all time?
It's certainly up there. I think in terms of finals I've watched, I think it's either this or the 128 apiece draw in 2014 between Tip and Kilkenny. So. Yeah. It's a close one to call, really. I just feel like there aren't, again, we talk about hindsight being a beautiful thing, but would the GA have been better off having this game as a replay? A money spinner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think it was this game probably was a draw written all over. Fair play to Clare. If you had any side that was going to win this game, it was probably them. They got the 3 goals on the day. They got the major scores, and they deserve to win the game. But imagine if this game went to a replay. Imagine the buzz in 2 weeks' time that we get previewing this final again. Like, it would be just incredible. Obviously, the scramble for tickets would be at another high. But yeah, that's the sport in it. But I feel like this is probably the best hurling final ever, but I think a close second has to be the 2014 edition between Tip and Kilkenny.
Yeah. Just on the replay thing, like, I think ultimately it's up to the players. Like, I think the players need to be consulted about it, and they need to be the ones who are making the decisions. Like, all the county boards, managers, players, surveys, they need to be the ones really who are consulted, because ultimately they're the ones that are going out and doing it. And you saw players dropping like flies. You were seeing players going, Patrick Horgan going in with an injury. Shane O'Donnell apparently played the whole game with a torn hamstring as well, from what I heard. So, you do wonder, should there be a longer build up to these finals as well? Should it be a 3-week break as opposed to a 2-week break? There's all sorts of discussion. But one thing I would say on the replay thing is, like, so many people tuned into the BBC to watch that final and had watched hurling for the first time. And so many people were saying, so what do we do now? Like, that's it. The final's over. Nothing to watch. You know, hurling will just be forgotten about and I won't see it again. Could you imagine the build up now to a replay? Like, all the new fans jumping on board as well. Like, it would have been it would have been some build up, like, and like all these people as well probably will tell their mates and be like, you have to watch this. It would have been incredible. But yeah, like, I wasn't against an extra 20 minutes at the time, to be honest with you, because it was such a cracking game. But I won't lie, the selfish person, like, completely neutral, no dog in the race. I wanted it to go to a replay. Like, that's what I wanted to happen, because I wanted to see the game again. Because why would you not? But there we go. That is the All-Ireland final discussed. Let us know your thoughts on the final in the comments down below. And yeah, let us know what you think it means for Cork moving forward and for Clare. 2 ladies football finals to run through. It really wasn't a great week for Cork. Matthew, they lost to Galway in the ladies football as well.
Yeah, yeah, it was a disappointing game more than anything. I just feel like the 2 LGFA semi-finals this weekend were disappointing spectacles in my opinion. Cork and Galway, this game, I watched this on the train going up to Dublin on Saturday, and yeah, it was a poor game of football. 30 scores between the two sides. Galway, fair play to them for getting over the line. The 2 goals in the first half from firstly Roisin Leonard and Ailbhe Davern, getting them over the line this one. But yeah, it was a disappointing game for Cork, obviously. Like, as soon as Galway got the 2 goals, they sat back, they sat deep, and they annoyed Cork for the rest of the game, to be honest with you. Cork had only 1 wide in this. They were very good at their shooting accuracy, but unfortunately for the Rebels, they just didn't get going in this one. They didn't get enough shots on the board. Galway got enough shots, but they were taking a few wide, especially in the first half. But the likes of Olivia Dively and Roisin Leonard especially were driving them on. All of Galway's shots, actually, all of them but 2 were by Olivia Dively or Roisin Leonard in this game. So that epitomised how Galway rely on them 2 players, and they rely on the defensive unit, the likes of Nicola Ward there, the likes of obviously Louise Ward helping back from centre forward. Like Megan Glynn was very good from midfield as well. Like, Galway rely on a really stable backline and them 2 players helping up front. So that was definitely an onus for them to get over the line this one, and they deserve a lot of credit for doing that. Like, even Charlotte Cooley, even Nicalic has some excellent players. Performances from a Galway point of view. Ultimately for Cork, it doesn't yield an All-Ireland this year for Shane Renane's team, but for Galway or Kerry, like, yeah, Kerry will win their first All-Ireland since the 90s if they do it. Galway for the first time since 2004. We will get new winners, but I feel like looking at the 2 semi-finals this weekend, I think we might be in for a disappointing LGFA final.
Yeah, two games that probably weren't the best. Dylan says here the Kerry hurling semi-finals were this weekend, and I was at them. Kilmiley versus Ballyduff was a cracker, similar to the All-Ireland final. It went to extra time, and Ballyduff won 425 to 225. Like, mental that club championships are on their way. Like, the Dublin hurling championship started at the weekend as well. Now, I don't know about you, but like, my brain just can't quite comprehend an All-Ireland final and club championships at the same time. Like, maybe it's just me, but it's hard to, I don't know. I just like the county season to be over before I look at club championship stuff.
Exactly, yeah. And coincidentally, the Cork Football Championship, the Premier Senior Championship, starts next week as well. Wow, yeah, and you have, the thing is as well, Damien Callahan, Conor Callahan and Brian Hayes would have all been involved with the All-Ireland hurling final team. Obviously, Brian Hayes did start. They play football for the clubs. Brian Hayes for the Bars. They're in action next week, Saturday or Sunday. I'm not entirely sure of the day. So it's up to the Bars whether they rest them or not. But it's mental stuff. It really is. That the championship does start next week. You possibly could have moved it for another weekend or something like that. Yeah, it could have easily been done. But look, it is what it is. But even like the Dublin Hurling Championship starting this weekend, the Kerry Hurling Championship as well. The Wexford Hurling Championship is underway. I think they're in their 3rd round next week, or was it this weekend as well? The Wexford Hurling final is normally in August. Like, it's just absolutely mental, really, Aaron. And that goes back to the old argument, I suppose. like, how could you concentrate on club championships in those sorts of counties when there's All-Ireland championship finals in football, hurling, NGFA and camogie happening at the same time?
Yeah. Look, it's good for the club players, like, to be fair, like, to get the full window. So it's completely understandable, but maybe just for us selfish fans, it's something that we don't quite enjoy. But the other semi-final in the ladies' football, Armagh 7 points, Kerry 1-8. You said it before, wasn't a great game. Kerry got Kerry got their goal, obviously, in the first half. Just 1 point scored in the second half as well. Seen bits of the highlights, and mental, like, just one score in the final 20 minutes. So fair play to the Kingdom. They didn't play their best. They got over the line, but maybe a massive missed opportunity here for Armagh.
Possibly so, yeah. Like, it seemed like in this game Kerry were there for the taking, but Armagh didn't have enough in them. Obviously, Amy Mackin is out injured, and that's a huge loss to them. And they did very well to get to the semi-final without her, so fair play to them for that. Like, Niamh Henderson was very good up until now, Aoife McCoy as well, but like, Blothy Mackin played well, to be fair to her, Eve Lavery as well. Armagh scored all their 7 points from play, which probably epitomised how disciplined Kerry were, first of all, and how good Armagh were for play in this game. So they deserve a lot of credit for that. And Kerry only scored 1-5 from play, so they only beat Armagh by a point from play as well. So it was a very tight game. Armagh would have been disappointed not to get over the line this one, but for Kerry, 1 point scored in the second half wasn't good enough for their standards, their high standards, I'm sure. And I'm sure Declan Quinn and Darragh Long, the management team, would have said that to the players in the dressing room after the game as well. But look, they're in the All-Ireland final. They'll be the favourites to win it. And I feel like, as well, Aaron, if Kerry don't win this final, you and me said this on my podcast during the week, if Kerry don't win this All-Ireland, especially against a Galway team that got relegated from Division 1 to Division 2 this year, I feel like, is Louise Ní Bharthortig ever going to win an All-Ireland? It's almost like a hockey situation, isn't it? So, yeah, I feel like Kerry have to win this All-Ireland. Probably more than Galway do, but look, it was about getting over the line, this one. But for the final, they'll have to massively improve to get over this Galway team. Galway don't concede a lot, so it's going to be difficult to see how Kerry do score a lot in this one. But maybe they could do the same like they did in the semi-final, just get over the line, just get the trophy, and move on from there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, Galway are playing well. Like, they've hit form at exactly the right time. Obviously, beating Dublin and beating Cork in the semi-finals as well. So they've beaten two big teams, really. I know Cork have kind of had a bit of a hit and miss this year as well. So, yeah, I think Galway are certainly there, and you can't write them off going into the final. Dylan also says the Kerry Football Championship, one of them is starting this weekend as well. So there we go. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, usually I make a video on predicting club football championships and hurling championships. They might be over by the time I actually get around to it this time, but there we go. I think the Dublin Football Championship, I think, is in 2 weeks at least. So so there we go. But there we are. But yeah, that's everything wrapped up. Moment of the week, player of the week. I think player of the week, you can't look past Tony Kelly, and I suppose moment of the week, like, probably is Clare winning the All-Ireland, but maybe you might find something different.
No, I'd echo everything you said there. Just comments as well to John Conlon. Two things. Firstly, off to John Conlon, seeing the emotion with his parents towards the end of the game, being up so close to it as well, which is absolutely brilliant to see as well. So fair play to John Conlon and the emotion running out. And I think the quote from Tony Kelly in the post-match, the speech as well about Brian Lohan. Hurling's like a religion in Clare, and Brian Lohan's our God. To be honest, Aaron, we haven't even got to the Christmas awards, but that is quote of the year. If that's not quote of the year, I'd be shocked. Like, it was an incredible quote to me. Yeah.
He doesn't miss Tony Kelly, does he? Like, he's everything he's doing, touching, is turning to gold.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even what he says in the mic, like, he's a wizard with a hurl, but he's an even bigger wizard with a mic. Tony Kelly.
Here we go. Yeah. He's whatever you do, like, whatever he touches turns to gold. So maybe he might be the savior. Who knows? But yeah, Gerald Burns, his comments as well, and his speech, I thought was brilliant to see as well. And I think it's great to have a GA president who firstly gets the names right, but secondly, does in fact, like, come out with some great stuff, which is great to see as well, in fairness.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and he's a GA man. obviously, because he's played the game before. He does his own things for his club, Silverbridge up in Armagh as well. He lines up the pitch. He fixes the nets, according to the Armagh fans as well. That are telling me on social media. So he's a great man for GA as well, and he got the nickname right. He got the clubs right as well. I remember Larry McCarthy got the club wrong with Declan Hannon one year, didn't he? He said it was from a hand rather than a dare, and it caused a bit of controversy. But at least, Jarlath does get the names right. He gets the things right as well, and the stuff that he was saying about the GA diaspora across the globe as well was brilliant to see as well. So he deserves a lot of credit, Larry. Obviously Jarlath Burns as well. So. Yeah, big up to Jarlath Burns, and it will be interesting now next week. Will he give his son a hug if Armagh win the All-Ireland?
Yeah, I don't think I know there's an element of professionalism and everything else, but I don't think anyone would blame him. Anyone would blame him in the slightest if he did that. But we will have to wait and see. We'll be back later in the week to preview the football final. Until then, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to check out Matthew's podcast, Gaelic Statsman, when you get a chance, when you don't get a chance, when you do get a chance. It's late here. I think it's time for bed. So, yeah, cheers anyone tuned in. We'll